Conoce la trayectoria y evolución de un C-Level. Exponemos el ADN de su liderazgo y las batallas que sacan lo mejor de sí en las firmas protagonistas del mundo de los negocios. Pilotos por Líder Empresarial.
Stefan Albrecht no solo lidera una marca legendaria, sino que está al frente de una transformación profunda en Mercedes-Benz México, un cambio que redefine por completo su modelo de negocio y su relación con el mercado. Para él, liderar esta metamorfosis requiere algo más que gestión. Implica un compromiso colectivo, una mentalidad abierta y una adaptación constante que reconfigura cada engranaje de la organización. Stefan explicó que, en un proceso de cambio como el que vive Mercedes-Benz México, el liderazgo tiene que ver con fomentar un sentido de responsabilidad en todos los niveles. No se trata solo de que la dirección guíe, sino de que cada persona entienda que su trabajo tiene un impacto directo en el resultado final. También destacó la importancia de la adaptabilidad y la colaboración constante como pilares esenciales.
Well, actually, there are many leadership principles which play into the role. We have to understand that it's an innovative process, and we are also changing our scheme. Yeah? Now we become from the wholesaler to the retailer, and this implies basically that one of the key principles which are important here is ownership of everybody. Everybody has to understand that he's a part in the process. He's not just doing a job. He's contributing that we are selling cars to the customers, and it's essential that everybody is doing his role in this process in order to have a successful transaction at the end of the day. So ownership of each and everybody, not only of the management leadership, is a very important leadership principle. A second one is adaptability, because it's a new process. A new process comes with changes, and changes always bring a certain level of uncertainties or things that you cannot anticipate. So you have to adapt to the situation. You have to be quick and responsive to the situation in order to find the appropriate solution in a situation that you don't really understand. And then we have a process in the entire company which runs through different departments. So it's very important that the people communicate and collaborate. It's very important to have openness and transparency, because as I just mentioned, changes also bring up new things, uncertainties, issues, and it's very important that these issues surface very quickly, because once they surface and they're spoken out, then we can take it up and find a solution for that. And that's why it's very important that people are really the speak-up culture is implemented in everybody's mind, and everybody is encouraged to speak up, not in the sense of, I made a mistake, rather than there's an issue, let's fix it. And we won't blame somebody for mistakes, rather than we want to solve issues in the process that are normal in an innovative situation.
Pilotos.
Para Stefan, la clave de una comunicación efectiva es la transparencia total. No basta con compartir solo los logros, también es necesario hablar de los problemas. Por eso utilizan diferentes canales de comunicación interna, desde reuniones de líderes hasta town halls y talleres, para asegurarse de que todos en la organización entiendan hacia dónde se dirigen y cuál es su rol dentro del proceso.
I think what is very important here is that you are fully transparent to everybody. Transparency doesn't mean that you only communicate the good things. The transparency that you communicate everything, the good things, but also issues or whatever you have. So transparency is very important, that everybody in the company understands what's the objective and what's the target and what's the strategy. And this you basically have to make sure that this is rolled out through the entire organization. So that's and for this process you have multiple channels. We're doing management meetings, or extended management meetings, where the leadership level comes from level 1 to level 5. Basically, is connected. Then they communicate in their teams. Then we're making town hall meetings where we communicate to the entire company. And then we're making specific workshops where we discuss the topics that we're going to address and to implement into change. And then we also have feedback loops where we discuss findings and results and then how to go there. And so there are multiple things on how to address the situation and changes. And the key principle is the transparency, and that you reach everybody in the company and everybody understands what's the strategy and what's the target to go for, and what's his individual role in that process.
Pilotos.
Hablando de innovación, Stefan mencionó que no solo se trata de crear nuevos productos, sino también de transformar procesos internos. Cree que todos deben sentirse con la libertad de proponer ideas, incluso si eso conlleva fallar de vez en cuando. Para él, una cultura de innovación también incluye aceptar los errores como parte del crecimiento y del aprendizaje colectivo.
Well, first, the innovations are strongly coming from the product side, yeah? And now we're making the innovation on the process side, where we have this new process coming in. I think it's always important to communicate to the employees that we further have to develop, that we have to innovate ourselves, we have to become more efficient, we have to adopt new technologies, and we have to be at the forefront of product and customer experience. And this requires changes, and people have to also innovate. It's not that only the management is innovative and the employees just follow. Basically, everybody has to contribute. But contribute means also that you create a culture where people bring up new ideas, and where also you allow a failure culture. Yeah? So we say, now we have a new process, this will come with changes, and we will have issues, and we will solve the issues. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So you have to make aware that not everything goes right from the beginning to the end. You will have make 3 steps ahead, and then you make 1 step back, and then you make steps ahead and 1 step back, and then the step back is an issue or failure whatsoever. And here the thing is again to communicate that it's not phase losing. That if you identify a mistake or failure or process issue, rather than people are incentivized to bring it up and to find solutions and to innovate, because from that you learn, and then from that the organization is also reinventing itself and moving ahead. So that's I think that's very important that people really understand that what's their role, that they also have to contribute to innovations as part of that, and that it's accepted that we also have failures in the organization.
Pilotos.
En cuanto a los desafíos inesperados, Stefan fue claro: siempre van a existir. Lo importante es detectarlos rápido y reunir al equipo adecuado para enfrentarlos. Él enfatiza que resolver estos retos es un trabajo en equipo, donde también se requiere enfocarse, priorizar lo esencial y pausar lo que no es urgente para poder avanzar con eficiencia.
I mean, this happens all the time. So it's, since my career over the last 20, 30 years, you always have challenges. And the important thing is, once you have the challenge, is that they identify the challenge or the issue or whatever it is. That then you have to bring the right people together, because you never solve a challenge by yourself. So it's a team approach, because normally challenges affecting many things in the organization. Then you have to get the people together who are affected and can contribute to overcome the challenge. And then you have to focus. And maybe sometimes you cannot do 100% on everything because you don't have the resources and the time to do everything. Then you have to focus, and you have to say, look, this has to wait now for our time, and we have to focus on the challenge. Once the challenge is overcome, then we can take up the other thing, because the other thing not so important at the moment. But then you have to prioritize what's really important now and what's the second priority. And this you have to communicate so that everybody understands, and then everybody is focused to overcome the challenge. And the faster you overcome this, it's the better for the organization.
Pilotos.
Cuando se trata de delegar, Stefan subrayó la importancia de adaptar la visión global al contexto local. Explicó que primero se alinea esa visión con su equipo de liderazgo, se definen objetivos claros, plazos y responsabilidades, y después se transmite todo esto de forma clara a toda la organización. Así se evita el micromanagement y se logra que todos trabajen en la misma dirección.
First of all, the global vision you have to translate into local vision. Yeah? So it's you have to take up the global vision, and then you have to translate what does it mean for the local market, because each and every market has its peculiarities and is somehow different. Yeah? So then you have to adjust for the local market, and then you have to discuss the local vision with your management team in order to make sure that everything is aligned or that you don't oversee anything. And once you have this proper alignment, then you try to roll this out in your organization so that the alignment has to be very clear. What's the strategy? What are the targets? What are the KPIs behind? What's the timeline and the deliverables of the timeline with milestones? This has to be clear, and then it has to be further cascaded down to the teams and to the individual employee. And again, here it's important that you have a full transparency, that everybody understands where you're coming from and where we have to go to, and what's my part of contribution in that process.
Pilotos.
Sobre la toma de decisiones, dijo que los datos son útiles, pero no siempre dan respuestas completas. Por eso, cuando los números no son suficientes, entra en juego la intuición, que se construye con la experiencia. Para Stefan, un buen líder es aquel que sabe equilibrar la información dura con su capacidad de interpretar y decidir más allá de los datos.
Data only provides you a certain level of information or truth. It's not always 100% truth. It's just data that you have, and it can be interpreted in multiple ways. The key thing is here that you analyze the relevant data for you, because there's so many data, but not every data is really relevant at the end of the day. So you also have to focus here. You have to know which one is the relevant data. And then if you come to a point that the data doesn't give you 100% clarity on the decision making, then the intuition comes into play. And intuition is basically based on experience, and based on experience, you have to think how to fill the gap of lack of information in order to come to a decision. And that's how you have to, from my point of view, have to bring together intuition and data driven in order to come to the right management decision.
Pilotos.
Stefan también compartió que llevar un estilo de vida saludable es fundamental para mantenerse enfocado y con energía. Hacer ejercicio y cuidar la salud física y mental le permite afrontar jornadas largas y tomar decisiones importantes sin perder claridad ni concentración.
If you have to be responsive on a challenge and perform on a challenging situation, you also have to be fit and healthy. Yeah? So you have to have a healthy lifestyle, and as you mentioned, you have to do your own exercises or sports in order to keep you not only physically in shape but also mentally in shape, in order to perform at the end of the day, because sometimes days can be very long, and you have a lot of pressure to take decisions and to make progress, which requires concentration and also the right level of energy.
Pilotos.
Hablando de redes profesionales, comentó que es vital mantenerse conectado, tanto con la casa matriz como con las autoridades, distribuidores y otros actores clave del entorno. Explicó que esas relaciones son útiles no solo para tomar mejores decisiones, sino también para tener apoyo en momentos en que se necesita colaboración externa.
I think networks are always essential because they complement basically what you're doing, and you should avoid to live in an isolated bubble. So you always have to be connected with the entire environment. And that's not only if you're sitting in a market like we are sitting here in Mexico. I'm responsible for Mexico, Latin America. You always have to be connected with the headquarters, because it's very important to be in link with headquarters. That's number one. But it's also the local networks that you have, whether it's we are living in a regulatory environment where it's very important to be up to date, where you have access to all the administrative organizations who are working on this, We have to have close connections with governmental and administrative organizations. We have to be close connected with the dealer network and also a lot of stakeholders in the environment, which are always important to get information and to get as many information as possible in order to create an opinion or the best opinion possible in order to make decisions at the end of the day. And sometimes you face trouble where it's very important to have the networks in place to help you, because you're not able to help it by yourself, because it requires decisions of administration or any other body which is outside of your decision environment, and then you have to fix it. And that's why it's very important to have networks in place which you can activate at any time you need them.
Pilotos.
A modo de consejo para otros ejecutivos, Stefan dijo algo muy claro: sin retos no hay diversión. Cree que los desafíos no deben asustar, sino motivar. Su enfoque es analizar bien cada situación, dividir el problema en partes más manejables y resolverlo paso a paso, con enfoque y concentración.
Well, for me, one thing is no challenge, no fun. So change is part of the business, and I think you should be open to challenges. Yeah, if challenges are scaring you, then you better should do a different job. So you have to be open to challenges, and the challenges for me is always a kind of exercise in order to come to results. And what I mentioned before, I think it's very important to analyze situations when you come into a challenging situation. What is the essence of the challenge, and how to overcome it, to fix it. And that's what I mentioned before. I think it's very important, in my understanding or my experience, to focus. And the bigger the challenge, the more you need to focus and concentrate it and to fix it and to slice the challenge down. If it's a very big challenge, then you have to slice it down in different parts, and then work on it slice by slice by slice in order to get the full thing done.
Pilotos.
Ya para cerrar, Stefan habló de su experiencia en México. Después de 15 años en Asia, dijo que esta nueva etapa ha sido muy enriquecedora. Le gusta la cultura, los retos y todo lo que está aprendiendo. Para él, cada nuevo contexto es una oportunidad para reinventarse y seguir creciendo como líder.
Well, I was 15 years in Asia, now I'm in Latin America. It's entirely different from the working experience and from the environment, but I must say I totally like it. I like Mexico and Latin America. For me, it's very inspiring, also learning a lot of new things. Some things are also quite some challenges here in the region, which each region has its different challenges. Yeah, so this region has also its unique issues, but it's always but that keeps you basically your mind sharp, because if you always experience new experience and new challenges, then you have to reinvent yourself in order to move ahead. So I enjoy it very much.
Conoce la trayectoria y evolución de un C-Level. Exponemos el ADN de su liderazgo y las batallas que sacan lo mejor de sí en las firmas protagonistas del mundo de los negocios. Pilotos por Líder Empresarial.